Registers fall silent at once. Coffee cools at the pickup counter. A busker folds his guitar and walks home. The town looks like someone pressed pause on life. Maya stands behind the bakery glass, hands dusted in flour, staring at the empty line that used to curl out the door. She had one day where 2 regulars skipped their morning pastry. Then another day when a supplier left a bill at her door with a lower credit limit scribbled across the top. Maya is the story now. Small business owner, mother of 1, a person who balances payroll with the same careful rhythm as kneading dough. Her problem arrives like a stubborn sourdough starter. It grows quietly, then it changes the whole loaf. At first the problem feels simple. Fewer customers, less cash. She shortens shifts, she buys cheaper flour, she prays the oven keeps working. The problem behaves like bad luck. Soon the problem stops behaving. The neighbor florist closes. The diner down the street posts a notice that payroll is delayed. The bank calls Mike from the hardware store and asks why payments bounced. That call makes Mike call the supplier. The supplier cuts credit terms for half the town. What seemed like a missing customer becomes a leak that turns into a flood. Payrolls are skipped. People spend less because their paychecks arrived late. Sales drop more. More businesses brace and cut. The town slips into a loop that feeds on itself. This loop has a name, the word everybody uses like a curse. It sounds final, like a weather event. Recession. Recession is not a monster that arrives with horns and a script. It is a process. It starts with a small loss of confidence, a misfired payment, a loan pulled back, a traveler who cancels their trip. Those tiny things travel through the town like a rumor. Each person hearing it acts like the rumor is true. The actions make the rumor true. That is the part that surprises. The economy is not only about businesses and goods, it is also about people believing in each other. The first reveal is obvious now. Less spending today becomes less income tomorrow. But the second reveal is sharper. Income is not just money, it is trust. Trust that the supplier will deliver, trust that the bank will lend, trust that a shift will be there next week. When trust tightens, transactions slow. The economy is a marketplace of promises. When promises start looking risky, fewer promises are made. We follow Maya through this. She gets a call from her accountant. Banks tightened lending after a big construction firm failed. The bank manager says the central office is suddenly cautious. The central office read a blip on a spreadsheet and decided to hold back. That decision is logical from one desk. On Main Street, it is seismic. This is the escalation. The choice at a bank becomes a choice in a bakery. One policy change in one city can empty dozen cash registers in another. What was small in number becomes massive in effect. Now the story flips. Everyone thinks recessions are about less stuff. Not true. That is the trick. Recessions are about coordination. Imagine a potluck dinner where everyone brought a salad and the potato salad person decides not to come. Suddenly the table looks sparse. People worry that if they bring a main, no one will have dessert, so they bring less. The meal shrinks. The table empties. It is not because food vanished. It is because people reacted to a signal. That signal can come from many places. A burst housing bubble, a pandemic that shuts factories, an oil price shock, or simply a mass of people fearing for their jobs. The origin matters for how long it lasts and for who will fix it. When the signal is an honest warning of too much debt or a bad investment, the correction is painful but useful. Bad investments stop being funded. Resources move to better use. The economy cleans house. And when the signal is mostly fear, the correction is unnecessary and cruel. People could keep trading if someone trusted them enough to keep the lights on. That is where policy enters the stage. Governments and central banks have tools that look like crowbars and glue. Interest rates, lending facilities, checks sent to households. Each is meant to restore the promise structure, to convince people that they can keep their end of the trade. But policy is not magic. A glue that is too weak will not hold the table together. A crowbar that is too heavy will break the leg. The deeper reveal is that recession remedies must match the cause. If the problem is a real shortage, printing money alone will not fix broken supply chains. If the problem is a loss of demand because people are scared, putting money in pockets can help. If the problem is a mountain of private debt, cheap credit may delay the pain but not remove it. Back with Maya. The The town council debates opening a temporary payroll fund to keep small businesses running for 6 weeks. Some say it will be throwing good money after bad. Some say it will stop the loop. The argument sounds like one about values, but it is actually one about mechanics. Money in the hands of someone who will spend it is a short bridge across the fear. A loan that does not get paid back becomes a long bridge to nowhere. Meanwhile, Maya does what she can. She drops a new sign outside. Bakeries are famous for reinvention. She starts a neighborhood flower share. She posts a menu for take-home dinner kits. She swaps a weekly baking class for store credit. Small changes, but each one nudges behavior. People start to come back not because the economy healed, but because they found a reason to trust the idea of buying again. We layer the idea now. Recession is 3 things at once. It is a signal, it is a constraint, and it is a game of coordination. Each layer matters. As a signal, it identifies mistakes. That is cold but useful. Debt that blew up deserves a reckoning. As a constraint, it is cruel. Jobs can be lost, skills atrophy, dreams delayed. As a coordination problem, it is solvable. If someone steps in with capital and confidence, the cascade can be arrested. This explains why stock markets can roar while Main Street empties, or why factories can be busy while offices cut staff. Stocks are bets on future cash flows and can get detached from the way households actually earn money tomorrow. Factories respond to orders. Paychecks depend on both of those things and on ability to borrow. So the next reveal is practical. Time matters. Recessions can be brief or long. A quick, shallow fall is a bandage. A long, deep slump is a scar. The speed and shape depend on what broke in the first place and how fast fixes arrive. Policy can shorten the fall and soften the landing, but sometimes the repair job takes years. Think of a snapped beam in a house. You can prop the beam temporarily, but if the underlying foundation rots, you need a full rebuild. The narrative now tightens. The town chooses. The council approves a small fund. The bank agrees to a delayed repayment plan for a set of local businesses. The central bank reduces interest rates, making it cheaper for the town bank to lend. News outlets run conflicting headlines, but many people feel a small easing. The bakeries that survive keep paying staff. People feel safer spending a little. The loop slows. At the same time, not everyone is saved. Some shops do not reopen. Some people change careers. The economy reconfigures. That is part of the painful truth no one likes saying. Recessions are not just temporary darkness. They are where some plans end and other plans begin. The money that once paid for a failed venture now goes into a new one. Those changes are messy and unequal. Maya watches this. The close florist never returns. A new delivery business starts, run by someone who used to work in the diner. Maya hires them to deliver bread. The town's rhythm changes. It is quieter in some places, louder in others. The oven burns the same, but the recipes shift. We loop back now to the opening silence. The town was not dead. It was being rearranged. The silence was the sound of hands pulling back and testing the floor. The bad days were the assessment. The hard choices were the diagnosis. The policy moves were the first stitches. The final reveal is simple and a little brutal. Recession costs money, and it also saves money. It costs wages, mental health, lost businesses. It saves by closing dead ends and forcing reallocation. That makes the language awkward. It makes the story messy. It also makes it predictable, which is useful because predictability lets people plan. Maya learns to plan. She keeps a smaller emergency fund. She finds ways to diversify income. She agrees with 3 other bakers to cross-supply when one of them needs a day off. She feels a modest pride, not because she won the market, because she adapted. Policy lessons fall into the background of the story. They are important, but they are not the character. The character is trust in action. When trust collapses, the economy contracts. When action rebuilds trust, the economy expands. The tools of policy, community, and business choices are the way that action becomes big enough to matter. We end where we began. The town registers are ringing again. Not as loud as before, not yet. People move more cautiously. Maya opens the door and breathes in the warm, yeasty air. A child tugs at her sleeve for cinnamon. She smiles and wraps it up, charging the parent with a small, exact price. The payment lands on the counter, and it is ordinary and miraculous at once. The chaos that opened this story is not a ghost from which we never wake. It is an alarm that jolts a town into seeing what it cannot afford to ignore. Recession is a painful correction. It is also a test of whether people and institutions will act to keep the promise across the table. One clear thing to hold on to, louder than the headlines, is this. Recession is not the end of value. It is the economy telling you that promises need fixing, and that fixing them costs less than pretending they never broke.